Everybody, welcome to the PYRESWAP show. I feel phenomenal today, and I might, in fact, explain why on this particular episode. First of all, thank you guys for joining right now, and we do apologize for the technical difficulties that caused us to start a little bit late. Worse things have happened, and I know that you guys have definitely been through worse things, so, bravo on your resilience. And today is Training Tuesday, you guys, Training Tuesday. And the first thing I want to talk about here is how you guys need to feel. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about inflation and deflation. So I'm going to explain a couple things. The supply expanding and contracting, and if we go and we look at the actual DAP, and we go and we look at the stake page, you'll notice that we call it CRPE. Does that make sense? And ERPE. And that is what contraction and expansion mean when the supply is increasing or decreasing. Inflation or deflation has to do with the combination of the expansion, the contraction, and the price. So the inflation and deflation is a delayed reaction based on contraction and expansion. Does that make sense? So again, inflation is selling and minting. Does that make sense? They both contribute to it. Does that make sense? But then deflation is buying and burning. But the fact of the matter is that burning is not the only thing that contributes to deflation. Does that make sense? Like as a whole. So when we're playing the IWV, and let's say you have 10 players, you do not need to think about like, okay, well, if we had more players, we would be smoldering more. You as the user base do not need to worry about how much is getting smoldered. To be clear, smoldering, this is the seat belt. Does that make sense? Not the car. Does that make sense? It's the seat belt. Like, it's a feature of the car, but nobody buys a car because of the seat belt. Does that make sense? Like it's not what's really in it for you. Like the seatbelt just makes the car slightly less dangerous, meaning you won't die in the car. Does that make sense? Smoldering is just like the tokenomic seatbelt, like the fact that it's actually getting burned. Okay, like it's not the purpose of the thing. The purpose of the Indignation Witch Vault is for the players to make money. That's the purpose. It's for the players to make money. That's the purpose. Yeah, like legitimately for the capture of profit. Like that's the main goal. Now, you might be thinking, but the price goes up and it goes down. Well, right now, again, we're in Genesis. And I know a lot of you have been here before Genesis, okay? Legitimately, after Genesis, there's nothing else that is going to make the supply go up. But remember, you're not trying to burn your way to the peg. Like, if you think that burning is the vector to get to peg, understand you're gonna bring Pyre Phantom up to the price of 2 ohm. And you know what's gonna happen? 2 ohm is gonna mead and then mint the shit out of Pyre Phantom. Does that make sense? So like there isn't like this goal number you're trying to get under. Right? Right now we have like 27 million Pyre Phantom. Genesis cannot really get you above 30 million. Does that make sense? So we're already 90% of the total supply. So like there's no point in like worrying about nickel and diamond at the total supply based on whether you're smoldering higher or lower than Genesis. Does that make sense? What's going to do more to bring the price up what does a smolder really do? What does a burn really do? JB, you don't even have to buy more. The mechanism itself will buy it for you. Rather, you just don't sell any. That's the point. Like, so, okay, if there is, let's say, what's an amount that would get offered? Let's say there's like 25,000 Pyre Phantom pending as in cans. I'll just write it out like this. Yeah. In cans, 25,000. Does that make sense? And let's say that divided among, or let's say 2,500, okay? Let's say 2,500. And let's say you're gonna have 5 players. Right? And in order for them to effectively like get a reasonable yield here, let's say everybody wants to get 5%. So let's say they all want to get 500, and they're gonna therefore want to stake 10,000 each. Does that make sense? So the channel is called out 10K, right? So 10K each as a size, right? Position size. 10,000 each. Does that make sense, everybody? So they're gonna stake 10,000 in order to capture 500. 2,500's in there. You're gonna have a total pot of like 50,000. Do these numbers sound correct to you guys? You guys understand what I'm saying? 50,007 total staked amount. Total stake 50,000, right? In order to get 500, actually that'd be like one. That would be. Everybody would get 5% each. Let me think how this actually works. Yeah, and then 2,500 is 5%. Does that make sense? So that would be to get 5%. Okay, now if you're gonna burn, let's say you have 10,000 each, and each one gets smoldered, right? You have 4 smolders, right? So the first smolder here is what? It's 100, right? Right? What's the first guy who stakes 10,000 gonna be smoldered for? 10,000 times 0.001. Is it 10? No, that can't be right. Is it 10? No, it has to be higher than that, right? Let's see. Everybody's taking in 10,000, and you're not getting 100 but 1,000. Yeah, it would be 10, right? So the first guy's getting smoldered for 10. Is that correct? Anybody check my math? So the smoldering size, that's 10, 20, 30, and 40, right? And that equals what? That equals 100 Pyre Phantom total smoldered. Making sense? Does anybody disagree with my math? Yeah, so it's 10, right? It's exactly 10. Because it's not 1%, it's 1/1000, right? Okay, but what I mean is if you have 10,000 each, then 1/1000th of that would be 10, right? Do I have that wrong? Okay, well, you know what, Maddie, I'm not that good at math, to be honest. But anyways, yeah, so when you get smoldered, you don't get smoldered for 1%. You get smoldered for 1/10 of 1%. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure that's correct. 1/10 of a percent. Right? So in theory, you can get smoldered up to 10 times to capture 2% yield, and you can still get 1%. Right? Right? Okay. So the fact of the matter is that, like, this guy who gets smoldered 4 times, he gets 0.4% knocked off, right? He's still leaving with 4% plus EPR. Every single player is getting over 4% yield on their bag. Is that correct? I do prefer my math getting second checked. I've made math errors before. Well, it's a vicious game. It's a vicious game. I'm glad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Manny. 10 smolders is 1%, roughly. Yep. -14. Okay. Anyways, the point being here, 5 players playing with 10,000 each, it's only gonna smolder 100 Pyre Phantom. Do you guys understand? 100 Pyre Phantom, by the way, what's the whole point of smoldering tokens? What's the point of burning them? Decrease total supply. But Maddie, the reason you decrease the total supply is because you are mitigating these particular tokens from re-entering liquidity. Does that make sense? When a token is burned, it can never be sold again. Make sense? Right? Right? So why do we care about burning it? Because all of them, the reason the price is so low is because they're all in liquidity, right? So when a token is getting burned, you're making it so that under no circumstances can it ever return to be sold into liquidity to bring the price down. Does that make sense? This is the debt elimination. Okay, here's the thing though, Maddie. This 100 is again a drop in the bucket of the actual progress being made, and the progress again everybody wants to bring the price up, right? Everyone wants to bring the price up. That's really the end of the game, right? That's the name of the game. Bring the price up. Bring the price up. Bring the price up. Okay, guys, I have great news for you. As more and more token leave liquidity, the price goes up. Does that make sense to you guys? Make sense? What makes the price of a token go up? When it leaves liquidity. Does everyone understand me here? I gotta ask. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody tuning in on Twitter and Twitch and Kick and what have you. Exactly, Maddie. Maddie, because that's the real progress. Here's the real thing you're betting on. What were the stats? We had 2,500, right? We had 2,500. So the fact of the matter is that like 2,500 was removed from liquidity for that incantation. Of this 2,500, yeah, exactly. So it's really 2,500. This is 2,500 that's now helping the price go up. The 100 is like icing on that cake. Does that make sense? So the 100 getting smoldered, that's 1/25 of this amount. This amount are the chunks that get you higher. It's when people buy. This is why we turn decay off. Does that make sense? Because again, you guys playing the incantation, if you're just gonna keep holding the token, like you're putting more into your wallet than is actually getting smoldered. The smolder is just the seatbelt. Does that make sense? You guys get what I'm saying? It's a feature that makes it so the product doesn't die. Does that make sense? But like nobody just goes and buys a seatbelt without having a car. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like a seatbelt is not the car. It's not the vehicle. Do you guys get what I'm saying? The upside here is that like for every 20 that got smoldered, 500 is now in somebody's wallet. Not really, Maddie, no. Yeah, not really, because that right there in theory can like burn more token, but that doesn't maximize the benefit of holding the token. Does that make sense? Because the people who are holding the token, the better the opportunity there is behind that token, the more valuable it becomes. Yeah, whaling into the IWV is not the value. This is again something that's completely contrary to the rest of Web3. Does that make sense? Like it's not unheard of. But again, imagine that it's just the coven playing with 10,000 each. Does that make sense? Everybody who was playing with 10,000, they all have now, right? They're all above 10,400 now. Does that make sense? 10,400. Every single one of them, it doesn't matter what they got smoldered. One of them got 2490, one of them got 2480, one of them got 2470, right? You guys get what I'm saying, right? Like in a perfect math, right? So they're all holding more. The people that you're playing with, they're the ones with you on the journey. Does that make sense? So like the progress back to peg, the progress to the price getting higher is the amount in the entire pot. Does that make sense? The entire pot is the progress, not the smoldering amount. The smoldering amount is literally just elimination so you don't fucking kill yourself. Make sense? Like that's what makes the project unkillable. That's not what makes it profitable. Do you guys get what I'm saying? The unkillability is a safeguard, but like the project is also profitable. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? Like a seatbelt is cool that you won't kill yourself, but if you're shopping for a Ferrari, it's not going to be the first thing you're looking at, right? Yeah, Maddie, exactly. It's like that right there. That right there, okay, smoldering does what? It makes the game exciting. It makes the game higher risk, right? It makes the game a little bit brainier. And it's a safeguard for the system. But it's not the reason you're playing, right? Like, the real reason you're playing is because you guys understand that the token goes 100x at the end of this. Do you guys know how it makes it go faster? Not from more people playing for the sake of smoldering, but more people playing for the sake of holding the token. I want you guys to understand something. DCU. Do you guys know what this acronym stands for? Who here can tell me? Maybe we'll call it DQ. Who here knows? Who here knows what this acronym is for? Okay, you do, Maddie, you do. It means decentralized credit union. Bravo, bravo to the multiple people who got that answer right. Decentralized credit union. Do you guys know why we do the PYRESWAP show? Do you guys know why we invest so much in the education of our community here? Do you guys know? Who here can tell me what you're invested in when you're a member of a credit union? Yeah, when you're a member of a credit union, what are you actually invested in? Does anybody know? That's true, Maddie, yes. In the future, Dr. Mack is correct, into each other. Yeah, you are actually invested into the members, into the other members of the credit union. Yeah, so when you guys, the channelers, are playing this, you're investing into the coven. Them getting rich is helping you get rich. Legitimately. This is one of the only projects in Web3 where teamwork is real. I'm not joking. This is one of the only projects in Web3 where teamwork actually isn't a fucking joke. Does that make sense? Your entire faction gets rich at the same time when you get organized. Yes, so what I mean to say is, don't feel bad about only smoldering 100. The fact of the matter is you got 2,500, you got 25 times that amount now being held by serious witches. Does that make sense? Serious witches are all getting rich. And the more that serious witches get rich, the more serious the coven becomes. I feel really good today. I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't know if I'm able to channel that energy over the microphone in this camera. But the smoldering is the seatbelt. Does that make sense? I think the smoldering is genius, but again, it's not there to benefit you. It's there to benefit the system overall. You guys, as the users, worry about yourselves and the other users. The system takes care of the user base, and the user base takes care of the system. It's all harmonious here. I promise you. Yeah. You guys don't need to think about, we need to burn more, we need to burn more. No. Just focus on making yourselves rich. That's all you need to focus on. Yeah. Just focus on working as a team to get rich. That's all it takes. Yeah. If you just do that, everything else solves itself by proxy. By proxy. Yeah, euphoric indeed. Do you guys know what else by proxy means byproduct? Does that make sense? You get to peg as a byproduct of just focusing on enriching yourselves. Okay? I want to describe something to you. When we inhale, we bring in air, atmospheric air, into our lungs, and it's a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, and a bunch of other trace gases, right? A little bit of carbon dioxide as well. And when we exhale, we send carbon with the oxygen, right? So we inhale oxygen and we exhale CO2. Are you guys aware of this? Dr. Mack, did you know that's how lungs work? Dr. Mack, were you aware that we inhale for the sake of oxygen and we exhale for CO2? Did anybody not know this? You do now, Dr. Mack? Yeah, no need to thank me. Did anybody not know this? Did anybody not know this? Dr. Mack is a pulmonologist, if you guys don't know that. He's a lung doctor. Okay, did you guys know when you exhale CO2 that the plants use that the way we use oxygen? Did you guys know that plants use CO2? Did you guys know that? Okay, so Javery, when is the last time you exhaled and you were worried about how the plants were going to deal with that CO2? When you exhale, you always check the plants? Yeah, exactly. This is what you're doing when you measure smoldering. Does that make sense? You don't need to worry about that. That just takes care of itself. Legitimately, just worry about yourself on the oxygen. Just focus on the oxygen. The CO2 stuff will happen automatically. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, the total pot is the amount that you're bringing to peg. Like, it's not like, oh, we just burned this amount. Yeah, but most people aren't going to sell that. The amount from the pot, they're not selling that because anybody who plays the IWV, most of them believe it goes back to peg. Does that make sense? Because they understand that it gets burned, right? But the fact of the matter is, you can make it go up faster just from holding. The trick is learning how to play with just the amount the channelers tell you to play with. That's the difficulty. Does that make sense? You don't just compound with the whole bag. You compound the right amount that the team needs, because that is what makes it so that nobody has to worry about smoldering bringing you to a loss. Does that make sense? When the team figures out, holy shit, we can actually just trust each other the slightest bit, we will completely offset smoldering, and we are also just stockpiling the money as we all get to peg. So if you guys are the witches right now, you guys are playing as witches, here's all you need to think about as a group, okay? Let's 100x our bag. Then, after we're cajillionaires, we will just DCA into Pyre Phantom, I'm assuming. Pyre Phantom, Phantom LP, or some other type of LP. Does that make sense? And then passively earn enough APR to quit your day job and then just make money as a channeler perpetually. That's the fucking dream. I wanted to basically like 100x your bag as a team, 100x your bag as a team. Then once you actually get to peg, literally, you don't even have to dump this shit. Literally just sell 1% as a time and then deploy it as liquidity. Deploy it as liquidity. Just flatten it out. And then once it's at liquidity, you'll just keep getting swap fees because the game doesn't ever stop, right? Even at peg, the game doesn't stop. Did you guys understand that? Like, no matter what the price is, the game doesn't stop. Were you guys aware? So I want you guys to understand, when you're playing the witch game, you don't even need to worry about the price action. Because like all of that will inevitably take care of itself. All you gotta do is focus in the area where you can, right? Control what you can control. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, Perception. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I want you to know a couple things. We are less than 10 YouTubers away. Less than 10 YouTubers away from our YouTube database being complete. Yeah, we are less than, I think we're like at 792 out of 800. Just letting you guys know. So literally today we could be done. We could be done today. That's a big ass deal because, by the way, our short form content, meaning our TikTok and our Reels and our, Maddie, we're literally doing this to get probably maybe 40. We want maybe 5% of this database to actually do a video on us, but we'll try to get like 40 to 80 videos maybe in a month. Does that make sense? But by the way, I'm not even hitting this database yet until we have the fucking short form pumping out maybe at least once a day. I need to get that ball rolling. We have the first MVP built yesterday. It's not good enough to post, but I'm pretty sure by the second or third one we will be. Yeah. Guys, I know that you guys might feel like nothing's happening. A lot of shit's happening. This is going to be a great fucking week. This is a great fucking week. God damn, we're going to make it. Okay. That's it. Yeah. Like, Hopium, I think most of you guys understand. After Genesis, the only thing that expands the token is meeting. So to be clear, like, you want to get to peg with the biggest amount of total supply possible. We're only trying to get the user base into the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Does that make sense? Legitimately, whenever you're building something, for whatever reason, like the last component you need is just always the most difficult. Like the universe presents itself this way. So awareness generating activities, these are often the hardest to really get streamlined. It's taken months. It's taken like 2 months. Yeah, Alessio, I appreciate that. But I want you to understand something, Alessio. Like right now, the total supply is 27 million of Pyre Phantom. Well, the maximum you can get from the end of Genesis would be like 29 or 30 million. Does that make sense? You would still be under 30 million. But as soon as you get to the mead level, it's 57,000 2 ohm meaded right into Pyre Phantom. So you'll have 57,000 just minted like that. It'll get dumped. 57,000 mint and dump. That will happen as soon as Pyre Phantom touches 2 ohms price. Does everyone understand that? Yeah. Yeah, but again, red candles can't kill this project. Fex will be the one that does it. Fex will be the one that does it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, Maddie, the reason whaling the Witch Vault doesn't make sense is because you're risking a lot to get a smaller pro rata amount. If you actually take the risk on the community, you can play with less and make the same amount of money. Does that make sense? So like the whale is choosing to risk more like in his bag where he could just take a risk on the other users. Does that make sense? It's like a different dimension of risk. Like, so the whale, you guys were taking losses legitimately just now. Like you guys were like minus 14 and minus 40. That doesn't need to be done at all. You can make a target of like 5% EPR. And if everybody just agrees to 5% EPR, Maddie, by the way, you're never going to have these eras where everybody agrees. But the fact of the matter is that you can get it to where the majority agrees. And when the majority agrees, you can change the strategy so that they are still getting taken care of. You don't need to worry about like the whale doing like the wrong thing, right? And by the way, the best part about this is that as the EPR gets lower, it's more resistant to crushing. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. By the way, I know you guys run flogging bots too. Like, so I want you to understand, this whale is a fake whale and the flogging bot is like a fake bot. Like it's legitimately, it's not, we're not even really playing the game yet. Additionally, by the way, the Incantation Witch Vault, this Dex was never designed so that the majority of people are playing the game. It's always the minority. The same way works with gas. So for every 1 Ethereum getting burned as gas, there's like 1,000 or more getting speculated on. Does that make sense? It's literally meant to be the same way with Pyrogas as well. But this is only going to, we have to just add chaos to the system. Like, I'll tell you that. Like, that is only going to make sense when chaos is added to the system. But don't worry, I'm working on that. You don't need to worry about that. Shavry, good question. Yeah, we're gonna bring Pyre Phantom to $3,000. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit. Yeah. Even that's a bit optimistic for me. Like, let's be realistic with a 100x, okay, or whatever it is. Yeah, can we realistically just focus on the 100x? Could you guys chill out? Yeah, exactly. Okay, like be realistic, guys. Yeah, hilarious, Alessio. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Like, I'll be honest. Yeah, Alessio, we could build that. Yeah, we could build that in theory. Put PYRESWAP on some chain that has Bitcoin as its fucking thing. Yeah. That I don't expect that to happen anytime fucking soon, to be clear. But that's a wild idea. Anyways, so what else was I gonna say? Yeah, the true progress of what's being held out of liquidity is the amount that's not getting sold by the players. So like, I know that there was that whale player that sold like 2/3 of his Pyre Phantom like last week or whatever, and that is of course part of the risk. But the thing is, think of it this way. All users have a finite amount they can sell. The IWV has an infinite amount it can buy. Do you guys understand? We already have these projects fixed. They're not at peg. But like, it is stochastically inevitable that they get to pay. The users have a finite amount they can sell. The difference is the IWV has an infinite amount it can buy. Does that make sense? The users might sell a large amount acutely, but the IWV will sell an even larger amount chronically over time. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? This is what time value of money means. This is how banks make money as well. You guys aware of this? Yeah. It's not the amount that's getting smoldered that you need to even worry about. Yeah. You actually want, you want Pyre Phantom to be the highest total supply when you get to peg, because the higher Pyre Phantom's total supply is, the more that 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm can grow their total supply. Does that make sense? Like Pyre Phantom, and you want their total supplies to go up if you want the share coin price to go up. Does that make sense? So on a horizontal level, we really want all the total supplies to be as large as possible. We don't really want them to be. They contract as a safety mechanism, but we're not really here for the sake of the seatbelt. We're here for the fucking Ferrari. Does that make sense to you guys? Both metaphorically and literally, right? At least some of you, I don't fucking know. Am I making sense? Yeah. Does anyone have a question about anything I just said? When you're a member of a decentralized credit union, you are invested in the other members of the credit union. That is really that is the backing of your value. Do you understand? Am I frozen? Yeah. That's what drives the value. Yeah. So legitimately, when you guys are channelers, it's you're invested in the channelers are invested in each other's, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jerry. One of the reasons we turned Decay off is for me to make a bigger bet on the user base. Does that make sense? You know what Decay was doing? Decay was making it a lower risk. Does that make sense? I guess it'll always just decay. But you know what that would do? Our TVL would be under 100 grand right now. Do you understand? Our TVL would be so small if we kept Decay. Did you guys know that? Because all it does is make the LP shrivel when you're at the metertrage level. Does that make sense? So we would be getting closer and closer to peg. Maybe we would be a lot closer to peg, but our TVL would be probably smaller. Are you guys aware of that? If you're crushing the shit out of the supply, right? If Pyre Phantom supply is just crushing as small as possible, it would probably crush 2 ohms supply as much as possible. Do you guys understand? Yeah. You want these things to be at peg with the largest supply possible because it makes them more resilient. It makes them more, robust and healthy. And also higher market cap, bigger success of a project, bigger player base, bigger volume, bigger yield, just bigger everything, right? So yeah, do not worry about the total supply. As soon as you get to the mid level, you're gonna have surges of supply, and then spikes of it. It'll be surge supply, red candle. It'll be a sharp red candle. You guys all know what it looks like. Well, I'm sorry, half of you know what it looks like. Yeah, you are in fact bullish on the user base. Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I actually have only lived here for 3 or 4 years. 2021. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it is until it isn't. How interesting, Fexer. Yeah. Well, Fexer, we did reduce APR. Yeah, we reduced emissions all the way to 0.1% a day. But now, you're already at 90. Okay, we're maybe 60% through the Genesis time, and you're already at 90% of the total supply. So the total supply change now is literally 10% more. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know. It's negligible. 10%. What did Pyre Phantom move today? Let me pull up Deck Screener. I think I saw it at up 8% today. Okay, it's up 6%. Yeah, that's literally that right there is over 60% of like the swing. Yeah, I think it's like 29 million and some change. But what I'm saying is, Fexer, legitimately, like making the total supply that much higher, and you look at the price being 6% changed, like either way, this is like that. As far as deflation goes, that's the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like within a day, the price has gone up 6%. So like, what that means is up to. If the supply was going to increase another 10%, yeah, today's price action has already negated, like compensated for 60% of that. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah, like the total supply right now is like, you might as well just write it off as like the end. This is the amount. You don't have to think more about it increasing or decreasing because the price changes more in 24 hours than total supply does. Either way. Jerry, like you can do whatever you want. Yeah, but understand if you're going to do that, you're now pushing your reward off into the future, right? So if you want to sell, I will tell you this: I wouldn't sell Pyre gas for that because there's no guarantee that a share coin will 100x. Does that make sense? Like right now, you can actually figure out where the destination of Pyre Phantom would be. And like right now, it's you might see like it's extremely hard to say. Yeah, exactly. Like okay. Yeah, exactly. And you don't know. Yeah, Fexer, you don't know. Like because again, as soon as we start having this short form factory getting printed, and by the way, getting like 40, I don't know, getting like 20 to 60 YouTube videos dropping in a single month, right? If we get 20 to 60 YouTube videos dropping in a single month, we might have like 7,000 people in this Discord in a week, right? You don't know. Yeah, there's mechanics there too, Fexer, but the mechanics are what is the total supply at peg, right? Yeah, like it's calculating the valuation of the fucking share tokens. You have to think about what the total supply is going to be at peg. Yeah, and it's like you have to. There's an entire range of prices it could be at. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. Fexer, because the boardroom prints the token as a percentage of its total supply. So the expansion rate of the boardroom is derived from total supply of the peg token. Yeah. But Fexer, the fact of the matter is that Pyre Phantom having a larger total supply also implies that it'll have like a deeper liquidity at that price. So the fact of the matter is when meterage happens, right? Do you remember me saying that the idea here now is that when meterage happens, that 2 ohm goes up more than Pyre Phantom goes down? Do you guys remember this? Right? Okay, so legitimately, if you want that to continue into the future, you need Pyre Phantom to be bigger than 2 ohm, 3 ohm, and Z ohm. Does that make sense? Like Pyre Phantom needs to be bigger. So that means more in total supply, more in liquidity, more in volume, generally speaking. Yeah, so like 2 ohms, yeah, exactly. 2 ohms total supply is completely kind of controlled by Pyre Phantom's size. But that's a topic for, we can talk about that again when we get to the mid level. How about that? But we might be closer to the mid level than you guys realize. Anyways, do you guys have any questions? Yeah, I feel that was, I think I did a great job of just talking about this stuff right here. But yeah, like you don't need to think about like, oh no, we smoldered only 100, but you got 2,500 out of liquidity. That 2,500 does not ever go, if it's not going to go back to liquidity until you get to peg, that's what you're really invested in. You're making progress by thousands, not by hundreds. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Yeah, like the smoldering just happens. Well, Fexer, because all of this is on a logarithmic scale. Yeah. So like, yeah. I'll tell you this, it doesn't take that much money to bring everything to peg anymore. Yeah. It doesn't take that much money. Legitimately, it just takes like a little bit more chaos. That's really all it takes. So we're gonna have a very chaotic, yeah. No, Alessia. No. No proof. Yeah. Jeffrey, the circus walls are already unloaded. Yeah. Yeah. Maddie, that doesn't even matter. You're already at 90% of the total supply. Yeah, like again, if the price changes 6% in a day, that's like, okay, you're already at the end of Genesis. This is already it. Yeah, if the price goes up like 20% tomorrow, it's like you can already consider yourself at the end of Genesis. Yeah, like you're already over 90% done. So like, if the price is willing to go over 10% change in a day, it's like that's already the same. The math is the same. Like now, granted. Now here's the bad part, guys. Here's the bad part. At the end of Genesis, you might have some people who just withdraw and exit. In which case, you would have acute drops in price. Make sense? Yeah, Jabry. Yeah. Yeah, like again, I mean, if you want to buy 2Share because 2Share got sold a bunch, like it's probably a good entry. I think the last time I bought 2Share was like at $8. Yeah, but like it'll be fine either way. I think it was probably a blessing in disguise because I don't think any of that person who was doing it has any idea like about what's going on. It wasn't really clear that was a. I don't really even care about that. Yeah, like that in the grand scheme of things, that's just like some noise. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's also time value of money. Yeah. Like if they wanted to go do something else with it, like it is what it is. If they don't, if that person was sold 2Shares, then they might not understand how the project works in the first place. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Oh, by the way, guys, I heard that the Avalanche chain might be getting a significant gas cost reduction, meaning that gas could be like 25 times cheaper on AVAX. That's a rumor I heard earlier today. Jabry, in order for 2Shares to hit 10,000, you would need a total supply. Here, do you want to do this math? Okay. Yeah, well, actually, I'll just keep this on. Okay, do you want ShareCoin prices? Okay. So in order for ShareCoin prices, in order for 2Share to hit 10,000, let's say this. What does that mean the boardroom has to be speculatively worth, right? What is it, 1% daily? Let's say that 1% daily, right? 1% daily, right? And what does that mean? For 2Share to be worth $10,000, what's 1%? $100? Therefore, $100 daily. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? Every share coin is getting $100 daily. It's a lot. Like per share, it's a lot. Okay? Let's assume that Phantom is worth $1. Okay? That also means that 2 ohm is worth $1, right? right? Let's just make it $1, right? So what that means is every 2 share is getting 102 ohm printed to it, right? So let's assume that you have 35,000 2 ohms, 2 share staked, okay? The 2 ohm boardroom, 35,000 2 share staked. Right? Makes sense? It's half the total supply. Okay? In order for this to be getting, and if it's worth $10,000, right? So that's 35,000 2 share at $10,000. This means that 2 share has a $350 million market cap, right? Okay. 35,000 2 share staked, and each one of them is getting $100 a day. So in order for that to be the case, if you have a 2% expansion rate daily, sorry, there's a lot of background noise here. Okay, never mind. Okay, we only got 6 minutes left. Yeah, 1%. Okay, so if we're talking about a 1%, that means that 3.5 million, yeah. Okay, it's 1% APR, right? But it's a 2% expansion rate, right? So that means $3.5 million of 2 ohm is offered daily, right? And if we're talking about 2% per epoch, that means that this is way easy to do with like more writing. Okay. If you have okay. That means 3.5 million 2 ohm is getting made every day, and that's 1% of a supply. So that would be, you would need 350 million total supply of 2 ohm. Something like this, okay? You need, in order for 2 share to get to 5 figures, you need a 9-figure total supply. There you go. Does everyone understand me? Ish. It's close enough. So you need a 350 million total supply of 2 ohm. Because that's 1%. You guys get it? Because I made them both worth $1. Do you guys get it? Something close to this? Maddie, you would need over 1 billion Pyre Phantom. Yeah. Just being honest. It's possible. No, it's possible. Yeah, it's not possible this year, but it's possible. Yeah. Yeah. You guys have such a bad attitude. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Knights better get good at their fucking job. Yeah. But the Chandlers better get good at their job too. You guys are invested in each other. Just like a credit union. Yeah. All of you have the ability to make this happen. By the way, when you can get above peg and stay above peg, you can make the price go up. I think it's like, sorry, you can make the supply go up, I think like 8% a day, something like that. If the Knights get good enough at their job, they can make the supply go up 8% a day and never lose peg. Yep. Yep. I think you guys don't understand how powerful banks are. Yeah. Like, you really do have the ability, to, like, make as much money as possible here relative to your skill set. Maddie, that is exactly what you should do. Yeah. By the way, getting the shares to $100, yeah, probably getting to peg right now will do that. Yeah, get to peg. Yeah. Oh, this figure here is 2 ohm, Dr. Mac. 2 ohm needs a $350 million supply TS in order for 2 share to see $10,000. Probably. Of 2 ohm, 5.7 million. Yeah. So you would need to, okay, think of it this way. There's a 100x to peg in the price, but you only need like a 70x in total supply. Right, guys? It's only a 70x that we need to increase the total supply. We're going to 100x the price of Pyre Phantom. And then after that, we 70x the total supply of 2 ohm. It's going to be so easy, you guys. It's only a 70x. We have a 100x in front of us. All right, don't you guys agree that a 70x is easier than a 100x? Logarithmically speaking. Okay, this is around the hour mark. I mean, granted, we started a bit late. And we haven't had any questions. Maddie, maybe you need to believe in yourself. Yeah. Again. All right, Maddie, here's the good news. In order for you guys to actually unwrap some of the GameFi that makes this easier to manage, we are putting leaderboards on the website much earlier than anticipated. Does that make sense? The leaderboards, the reason we're deploying the leaderboards is because it helps you guys understand how you can actually kind of assess risk on wallets who you don't even know. It's going to make it easier for you to understand that these are who you're invested in. And they are invested in you. They're invested in you. That's how a credit union works. This is how a bank works. Fexer, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Team indeed. Squad, yeah. But yeah, Fexer, for real. Like, Fexer, I realized that I made a couple mistakes. I should have maybe launched this only on BNB at first, right? And then maybe proved it on BNB. And then everybody would be like, holy shit, it works on BNB. But I didn't want to do that, right? I made it way harder on myself. I made it way harder on the Centered Circus. I made it way harder on the devs. I made it way harder on you guys, right? But the experience and the information is worth it because we learned so much. We know so many things that the rest of Web3 has no fucking clue about. Like, we have data on things that the rest of Web3 is like still in the fucking Stone Age. Does that make sense? Like, we are in fact theoretically, and I guess I mean like in the sake of like the crypto economics, we are like leagues ahead. So like this is only going to work to our benefit. Like when people really wrap their heads around it, and granted, I know that some people are good enough to write mathematical dissertations about how it works, right? Like they're like, holy shit, it works mathematically. This is the one. All we've had a problem with is awareness generation for like the last 4 months, right? But we're really close to actually getting out of the garage there. We're so close. We did make the first one. The first one exists. It's just not, it just needed a bit of polishing. So yeah, we already have our first short form content made. It needs a bit of editing and revising, but we're fucking so close. We're so fucking close. I only have 8 more YouTubers to get before, by the way, when I finish this list, the Centered Circus has one of the most complete Rolodexes of crypto YouTubers in Web3. So like, as far as like a marketing database goes, we will have the best marketing database. Yeah, only 8 left. We're at 792 out of 800. Does that make sense? We probably have over half of crypto YouTube on this list. Does that make sense? Like over half of the whole fucking industry is on this list. Okay? I don't think anybody else can sell you a list that's like, yeah, this is over half the industry. I'm being honest. there is very likely less than 1,500 total crypto YouTubers that have over 1,000 subs. Make sense? The fact of the matter is, if I was gonna go knock door to door on crypto YouTubers, I would never have enough time to do anything. It made more sense for me to just get the entire list and then talk to them 35 at a time. Does that make sense? Because when I talk to 35 YouTubers at the same time, I can already say, no. I can just literally narrow it down to the 3 of them that are going to be winners. Does that make sense? Like, these 3 are smart enough, and if they're smart enough, their following is going to be smart enough. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to disparage any YouTuber that's covered us so far. But clearly, a lot of YouTubers are not going to be good fits for us. A lot of them are, though. We're going to be able to, because we took the time to build this fucking list, be targeted as fuck on the areas of crypto YouTube that are going to be perfect fits for this project. So we're going to do that rapidly. We're going to do that like, the goal is really to get like 20 to 40 videos dropping in a single month, in a single 30-day period. Fexer, I mean, like, he is a believer in the project. Yeah, I'm not disparaging anybody. Oh, somebody says we have no audio. Somebody on YouTube said we have no audio. Thank you to everybody tuning in on YouTube. Yeah, the mic works. Yeah. Anybody on Twitter? Do we have audio on Twitter? Yeah, you guys don't need to. You guys can be nice. Be nice, everybody. Anyways, yeah. We're almost done. Okay. Thank you guys for coming to the PYRESWAP show for Training Tuesday. I hope that this was a great Training Tuesday. I hope we really set the precedent of what Training Tuesday could be. Does that make sense? Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for Wisdom Wednesday. Yeah, all right. Trigger says the audio is good on X. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.